My name is Eric Skwarczynski, and you're listening to episode number 13 of Gut Reactions. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to episode number 13 of Gut Reactions. My name is Eric Skwarczynski, and I am your host. Thank you so much for listening today. So I'm kind of using this episode as a springboard to launch us into my summer series, which is going to be called Summer of Fear. Now, in this series, I'm going to be talking about horror movies that evoke the feelings of summer. Camping trips, beach days, broken down RVs that leave families stranded in the desert, defenseless against cannibalistic mutants. You know, all the fun summer stuff we know and love. So, the requirements for the movies I'm going to be talking about in this series are as follows. 1. The sunnier, the better. So, I'd prefer to talk about movies over the next couple of weeks that take place primarily during the day. For example, The Hills Have Eyes, Sleepaway Camp, etc. Number 2. They have to take place during summer. Duh. Spring break movies don't count, even if they share a similar aesthetic to summer horror movies. And finally, shark movies and creature features definitely count as horror. People who say Jaws isn't horror need to be slapped promptly and with great force. So, for the next few weeks, I'm trying to debate whether it'll be June through July, June through August, but at least for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be talking about summer horror movies. I want our listeners to kind of decide what those are going to be. Now, the one that I'm definitely going to be doing is The Hills Have Eyes. That's going to be coming up next week. I'll be talking about the original and the remake. I might talk a little bit about Hills Have Eyes too, but I don't know if I can bring myself to watch it again. But as far as the others, what I need you to do as a listener is jump into the Gut Reactions Facebook group. It's just named Gut Reactions, a horror discussion group. Go ahead and ask to join there. And you can give feedback in that group. You can go on Instagram, leave comments on my photos. You can go to Twitter. Both of those are at Gut Reactions. I think Twitter might be at Gut Reactions Pod. But the most important thing you can do for this series is to call.
Hello?
Wanna have a little fun?
Who is this?
Tell me your name and I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Oops. I farted. I didn't think you would hear me.
No, that popping noise.
Oh, I'm making popcorn. I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Ooh. What is it?
It's just a scary movie.
Do you like scary movies?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite?
I don't know.
Think.
Oh, I know. Kazam. You know, the one where Shaq plays a genie?
That's not a horror movie.
Well, you haven't seen Shaq act.
I have a phone number set up. Some of you called in for the PG-13 episode that I just did last week. But what you can do is call in. Call it 805-930-9594. That's 805-930-9594. Okay, and when you call in, you're going to get an answering machine. You're going to hear my beautiful voice saying, "Thanks for calling Gut Reactions. Please leave a message." And you just have to do just that. Leave a message talking about summer horror movies that you love, whether that's Jaws, The Hills Have Eyes, Sleepaway Camp, fill in the blank. Go ahead and leave a suggestion there. And that might be a movie that I'll talk about. If not, I'll at least play the clip and, kind of give people a vibe of some other summer horror movies that they can watch. As you know, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, I like to talk about a variety of subjects on each episode. So there's a good chance that any movie you bring up will be brought up. And it gives me an opportunity to listen to some movies that you guys like. I know for the PG-13 episode, Aaron White called in about The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and I had enough time to squeeze that in and watch it for the first time. And I loved it. It ended up being a movie I talked about quite a bit on the episode. So, yeah. Shoot me over all your recommendations. I'd love to hear them. Once again, if you'd like to call in, just call 805-930-9594 and leave a message talking about your favorite horror movie. Now, I couldn't think of a better way to kick off the Summer of Fear series than by talking about none other than Wes Craven's 1978 film entitled Summer of Fear, starring Linda Blair. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but first I want to talk about what I've been watching lately. I'm not a TV guy. Anybody that knows me knows it takes a lot for me to actually check out a series, but there's 2 series that I was able to watch last week that absolutely blew me away, and I have to talk about them. The first is season 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
For 30 long years, I've used this saw on monsters and demons. But those battles are won. Now I use it to Slash prices!
Son of a...
Whoa, lady.
You don't even remember me? One of your monsters just attacked our daughter.
Daughter? Oh. Looks like evil's back. Suck on that, Harpo.
Who's the kid?
That's my daughter, Sandy. Mandy.
Brandy.
We're still getting to know each other.
A supernatural war is brewing.
Those speeders are back!
I'd hate for anything to happen to your precious little girl.
Evil's after my offspring, the born and the unborn.
Can't believe I shared DNA with him.
How was I supposed to know that all that crazy sex could lead to a kid?
You, Pablo, will become el brujo especial. Let's conquer evil.
Tell Kelly I said thanks for her body.
I've never been so proud.
It all comes down to this moment.
What is that?
It's the final test, Ife.
Come get some.
Season 3 dropped, and I basically watched it over the course of 1.5 days. I started watching it on a Friday night and then finished it Saturday morning. I watched all 10 episodes, and wow, absolutely incredible. If you're in the Gut Reactions group, you saw my kind of immediate thoughts about the Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3. It's the best season of the show, hands down. It's packed to the brim with crazy action, some amazing gore, like seriously amazing gore, hilarious gags, and so much heart that was there here and there in the first two, but really you can see the chemistry and the love that the cast really has for each other. It shines through in every single episode, every single second of this season. As a series, it went out swinging. Pretty much every moment was satisfying, and in a lot of ways, I'm glad that it ended in such a strong place and it didn't go toward, you know, what happened with Walking Dead, where you're in 10 seasons and it's just lost a lot of its strength. But man, I won't spoil the ending, but I'm really bummed we're not going to see what they had originally intended for season 4 to be. It looked really interesting. But yeah, Ash vs. Evil Dead was really great. There was no fat on the season. It just really flowed. I felt season 1 was kind of uneven. It had a great start, a lackluster finish. Season 2 had kind of a lackluster start, and then an awesome finish. And then season 3 was just, from that first episode, it just really rocketed ahead. I didn't think that the Ash having a daughter storyline that was featured in the trailers was going to work, but man, it works. And it just gives Ash such a different dynamic and doesn't take away from the overall mythology of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Just a fantastic, fantastic season. And it really goes big when it goes out. The next thing I watched was Santa Clarita Diet Season 2.
Mom? What are you up to? Oh, just book reading. Are you chewing the post?
Mommy's going a little crazy down here, so I need to get out. And I know you're worried I'm gonna go out there and kill somebody, but think about all the people I haven't killed. Literally everyone in the world except 3 people.
I just think you should keep a low profile till we know what's going on.
I'm just gonna act like old Sheila, who's demure and chipper and never had an orgasm while eating a man's liver. I think our kill room looks too much like a kill room.
Yeah, feels like we copied it from a kill room catalog.
Is this you guys? Human body parts down Newark?
It could be spreading.
A lot of people have gone missing from Santa Clarita lately.
We get rid of one cop and now you bring another cop into our lives? You're getting more aggressive.
Oh, it could probably get a lot worse.
Whoa! I love you and we have each other. Everything else we can figure out. What the is this?
I'm actually looking forward to a day without any life and death issues.
Someday, if you have kids and you get a virus and start killing people, you'll appreciate how well your mother and I are doing.
I'm not sure when that dropped on Netflix, but I caught up with that. I'm about 10, probably 7 episodes into that series. Holy crap. again, season 1 was super uneven for me. I really liked Timothy Olyphant and Drew Barrymore, their chemistry. But there were still moments that I felt kind of were slow and I wasn't sure where the series was going to go. Not an issue with season 2. It's easily one of my favorite seasons of television ever, hands down. Timothy Olyphant is even funnier this season. Drew Barrymore is just wonderful and brings this kind of adorable charisma to the role. Timothy Olyphant plays a great, a great goofball character. I can't remember the kids' names, but the teenage boy in the series is hilarious as well, and so is their daughter. Just a really, really excellent series. And again, great gore. It's amazing seeing these shows with these really great effects and really solid gore moments. Yeah, it's amazing. If you haven't checked it out, season 1 and 2 are on Netflix. I implore you to give Santa Clarita Diet a chance. They're 20-some minute episodes, so it's something you could easily binge through, and it only gets better. I can say that with certainty. Astro Steel Dead is available on Vudu, and I believe on DVD and Blu-ray. The highlight of my viewing, though, even after 2 amazing seasons of television watching there, was I actually went down to LA to where they were doing Friday Night Frights at the Egyptian Theater, and they actually had a screening of the first 3 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So Tobe Hooper's first 2 films, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre II, and then Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre III. And Caroline Williams was in the audience and helped kind of kick it off with a quick speech. She was there for photo op. So if you check the Gut Reactions page on Facebook, or if you check on Instagram, you can see my photo op with Leatherface and Caroline Williams. I saw Jonah Ray there. He was attending from Mystery Science Theater, dressed up like Dennis Hopper's character Lefty, which was really fun. And then in the audience as well was Ryan Turek, who's the producer and I think head of distribution for Blumhouse is his official title. But just got done working on the new Halloween movie, which I'm really excited about. I didn't want to bother him because I knew he was with family and was just trying to enjoy the movie like I was. But I wanted to kind of ask him, hey, are we going to get a Halloween trailer before Texas Chainsaw or no? But I don't think that would have been well received. I know he's getting bothered by everyone nonstop. But watching him in the theater was amazing. I went down with a friend who had only seen the first one. Had no idea what to expect for the second one. And I was like, just buckle your seatbelt. It's going to be awesome. And man, seeing the original 35 millimeter print from 1974 of the first film was incredible. The audience was just electric and responded so well to it. What really hit me watching it was how funny the movie is. There's so many like little jokes here and there that you don't notice watching on a smaller screen or without an audience. But there's a lot of great beats. Like when they pull up to the barbecue and all the jokes with the guy washing the car, then stopping and then coming back and washing it some more, like just little moments that are really funny. And then some moments that really work. There's just a lot of moments that really work where Tobe Hooper's sense of humor really comes through. And then seeing Texas Chainsaw 2 was the highlight. I mean, obviously it was great seeing it with Caroline Williams being there. That just added a new layer of excitement. But for me, that is my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It hits all the right beats. Bill Moseley is electric as Top. One of the greatest horror characters of all time.
Whoa! So this is Radioland, huh? The infinite turtle, the waves through the ether fuzz roll on forever. Roar! Can't close that. Hi, I know what you're thinking. This is weird, huh? But I can handle it.
Caroline Williams is wonderful in it. She's one of my all-time favorite final girls in a series.
Yo, it's 8:11 Texas time on a Friday night. I know nobody's listening because y'all are all zooming, but I got a shot of hot rock and roll for you anyway.
And Dennis Hopper is bringing it in this movie.
I don't care who sent you.
I'm the Lord of the Harvest.
Who's that? Some new health food bunch?
He's hilarious, and every single line elicited, amazing laughter and excitement from all the audience. It was great watching it. It's such a great film, so vibrant. The neon color scheme. Tobe Hooper just knocked out of the park. Kind of doing a satire, kind of taking that Evil Dead 2 approach, where you take a movie that was, notorious for being so scary, and then flipping it and making a full-on comedy was really awesome. And then there's a pretty steep drop in quality going into Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre III. Toby Hooper no longer at the reins, but Jeff Burr. There's a lot of good moments in it. Obviously, it was butchered by the MPAA. They really cut out pretty much every gory moment, which is kind of an integral part of the film. You know, Texas Chainsaw 2 and the films that would follow. But man, even from the ground up, it still has a lot of other flaws. There's a lot of moments that fall short. There's some shoddy expositional moments, and the characters really hit and miss. And I really don't care for the design of Leatherface in the series, which is really odd because it was a great team working on it with Howard Berger and Greg Nicotero. The mask just didn't really look compared to the first two films, just really didn't look that great. There's still some fun moments to be had, and some good design on some of the corpses and things, but Ken Foree steals the show, and seeing it with a crowd, you could see how excited people were to see him on the big screen, and he just kicks butt in this movie, and there's so many fun, again, visual gags that really work. It's a great audience movie. It's the most I've enjoyed the movie since watching it for the first time, but I really enjoyed it. I wish we could have seen, my dream is to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation in theaters, but I doubt that's ever going to happen. But kind of how Viggo Mortensen is crazy in Leatherface 3, seeing Matthew McConaughey lose his mind in 4 is another amazing performance. But yeah, watching the first 3 in theaters was great. The guys at Friday Night Frights, Cinematic Void, they just did a wonderful job. They had the original chainsaws from Texas Chainsaw 3. They had the masks out. They had some memorabilia. It was just a really well put together event. And Caroline Williams was absolutely the sweetest thing, and so down to earth and humble and thankful to fans for coming. And as the guys from Friday Night Frights point out, the people that they have come in usually don't stay and watch the movie that they're there to talk about. But Caroline Williams stayed for all 3 films. We started at 7 and got done probably about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. And she was just so enthusiastic and excited. And it was really encouraging as a fan to see that. She was really great. The last thing that I watched is actually what I want to talk about in this episode. Wes Craven's 1978 film, Stranger in Our House, also known as Summer of Fear.
Linda Blair in Summer of Fear. A terrifying journey into witchcraft and the occult. The summer began like any other until the arrival of Julia.
Rachel, you remember Julia?
Hi, Julia. Julia is a witch. She is some kind of a witch.
Was it jealousy, or was there more?
Bill, out of your head. You're not my cousin, Julia. Who are you?
Using a wax figure, can one person control another person's mind?
Alone, Rachel struggles to prove her nightmare a reality. A summer of fear. A frightening encounter with the supernatural. A summer of fear.
Now, the reason I want to talk about this movie is because I named the series of summer movies that I'm going to cover Summer of Fear. So it only seemed right to start with a movie of that same title. Now, Summer of Fear is a Wes Craven directed TV movie starring Linda Blair, most famously known for The Exorcist. She's about 19 in the movie. It's just really interesting seeing her play more an adult teenager versus playing a little kid in The Exorcist. This is my first film I've seen her in post-Exorcist, so it was kind of an interesting move. According to the Letterboxd description, the TV movie was originally titled Stranger in Our House when it was originally released on NBC on Halloween night in 1978. When released on VHS in the late 1980s, the title was changed to Summer of Fear, which is the title of the Lois Duncan book on which it is based. Now, you might recognize the name Lois Duncan. She was one of the writers on I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. So she is pretty well known for those. But Summer of Fear is a pretty interesting film. It's not a great movie. I wouldn't even go so far as to call it a good movie. But it's so kitschy and warm and lovable that it's enjoyable to watch. The synopsis basically reads as follows. A country family of 5 takes in cousin Julia, whose parents recently perished in a car crash. Julia extends her influence over Rachel, the teenage girl who knows her cousin is up to no good. So Wes Craven kind of had a genre-defining film in every decade. So you had Last House on the Left in the 70s, you had Nightmare on Elm Street in the 80s, you had Scream in the 90s. And so he really created these films that just blew up and just redefined the genre in incredible ways, and basically would take the existing format of what a horror movie looked like and flipped it on its head. Last House on the Left led to an increase in brutality and realism in films. You had Nightmare on Elm Street, which helped kick off the slasher craze of the 80s. You had Scream, which led to kind of the self-referential humor that we would see develop in the late 90s and the early 2000s, a film which basically saved the horror genre from disappearing off the map. The 90s was not a good time for horror films pre-Scream. He was also responsible for some movies that didn't quite work as well. You had movies like Deadly Blessing, a movie that I like, but is definitely not on the same par as Nightmare on Elm Street or The Hills Have Eyes or New Nightmare. You had People Under the Stairs. You had The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. And then you had this little movie called Summer of Fear. It's just a really odd film to see from him because you're watching it realizing like this is one of the greatest horror directors of all time, but it's such a micro budget, again, kitschy kind of horror movie that it's kind of like, this is Wes Craven. This is crazy. Because I can see elements of Wes Craven in Deadly Blessing. I think it works in a lot of ways. I can see elements of Wes Craven in even The Hills Have Eyes Part 2 or People Under the Stairs. Going into this movie, it's a pretty generic TV horror movie. I just watched it just a few moments ago, and so I'm kind of still processing it. But I thought, good or bad, I'm kicking off the series with this movie. Now, again, it's definitely not awful. It's a pretty generic TV movie, like I said, but there's still moments that I really like. Linda Blair's pretty good in it. The girl that plays Julia is really good in it. There's some good visual moments here and there. It's a pretty movie, but yeah, it just hits a lot of weird beats. Like Julia moves in, and basically the first thing that happens is Rachel's horse, who Rachel loves more than anything in the world, goes crazy and tries to attack her, and the whole family says, well, we got to get rid of this horse. And Rachel's like, well, the horse has never done anything like this. It's got to be the girl. And so you kind of have all these tropes of the first thing to know something's wrong is an animal. Then you have Rachel confiding in this local, as she puts it, occult expert, Dr. Jarvis, where she starts questioning him about, witchcraft and about the possibilities of manipulating people and things like that. She starts finding odd little pieces of burnt hair, matches, hair from her horse. She breaks out in hives. All these clues leading her to the fact that Julie is a witch. Now, the biggest issue of the movie is that it's overly long. It should have been a 30-minute Tales from the Crypt episode. It doesn't work at an hour and 45 minutes. It's still got some fun moments. Seeing the paranoia kind of build, the creepy relationship between the family and Julia, Rachel kind of researching and being the detective here. And then what really brings the movie together is in the last few minutes, you have this kind of wild sequence where there's a showdown between Julia and Rachel. And that's pretty cool. And it ends with this car chase. Now, I'm going to spoil this because it's a 1978 TV movie. So if you haven't seen it by now, or even if you are going to see it, it's not going to ruin the movie for you. And if you watch a trailer, it's going to show you all this anyway. But it ends with this pretty crazy car chase. And one of my favorite moments, and kind of shows the limitation of the budget, is there's this moment where in the climax, this car goes over the cliff. And you can tell it's supposed to hit the rocks and explode. Well, what happens is about halfway down, so mid-fall, the car blows up on its own. So you can tell the squibs or explosives or whatever you want to call it went off a little bit too early. And my wife was watching. She's like, what the heck? It's not supposed to do that. It didn't even hit the ground yet. But yeah, so it was really funny. But it's so kitschy. It's kind of fun. The film looks great. It's put out by Doppelganger Releasing. It looks really nice. Linda Blair, she's got some of the best hair ever from the era. But overall, not the best start to Our Summer of Fear. It's worth checking out if you're a Wes Craven completionist, or if you like kitschy TV movies, or if you just want to see Linda Blair, who's always fun to watch. What you can look forward to in upcoming episodes is a couple great films. I'm kind of wrestling with a few, but the one I'm definitely wanting to get into is another Wes Craven film called The Hills Have Eyes. I'm sure most of this audience has seen it, but I'll be covering Hills Have Eyes, the original back from the 70s, and I'll be covering Hills Have Eyes from 2006. And I'm really looking forward to talking about those. And again, if you have a specific film you want me to talk about during this Summer of Fear series, just go ahead and leave a message at 805-930-9594. I'll put that number in the show notes as well. And just go ahead and tell me what movie you want me to cover, talk about why you love the movie, go into as much detail as you want, and I'll be sure to leave a portion of your audio in the upcoming episodes over these next couple weeks. But anyway, I just wanted this episode to be kind of a preview of what's going to come starting next week with The Hills Have Eyes. So I hope you're excited as I am to launch into the Summer of Fear. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to leave a 5-star review on iTunes if you enjoy the show. If you don't, go ahead and leave a 5-star review anyway. What's it going to hurt? You can also connect with us on Facebook with the Gut Reactions page and the Gut Reactions horror film discussion group. You can go on Instagram.com/gutreactions or Twitter @GutReactionsPod. And of course, you can listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or YouTube if you want to, or you can just stream it straight from Pippa, which is my podcasting service, and there will be a link to that in the show notes as well. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Let's get ready for A Summer of Fear.